we here at the Chamber, one of our sort of mottos is prosperity is a good thing, but it's very important that we make sure everybody has access to it.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation with United Way board member Rachel Smith, President and CEO of the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. This episode is part of an ongoing series highlighting members of United Way of King County's Board of Directors. And we proudly feature Rachel, who will discuss the functions of the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber, an organization that represents 2,500 businesses and about 750,000 employees in our region. We will also discuss United Way's free tax preparation campaign and an upcoming volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. Most nonprofit organizations are as strong and successful as their boards of directors, and United Way of King County is no exception. We have a volunteer board made up of people who work and reside in King County that bring knowledge of community issues and insight from their respective sectors. This podcast is part of a series highlighting members of United Way of King County's board, which comprises more than 36 people from corporate, nonprofit, education, media, and service fields. In this episode, we'll spotlight board member Rachel Smith, President and CEO of the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. According to its website, the Seattle Metro Chamber was founded in April of 1882 by 26 business and community leaders. The group sought to help the town of Seattle prevail over a San Francisco steamship company to secure a $12,000 annual mail route to Alaska. Since its inception, the Chamber has played a key role in nearly every major decision impacting Seattle and the surrounding area, championing policies that promote economic growth and support local businesses. Among the staples it has helped develop are the Port of Seattle, Boeing Field, SeaTac Airport, and Interstate 90. The Chamber has also helped to establish a public-private partnership to advance economic growth and competitiveness for this region that is home to companies such as Amazon, Microsoft, Starbucks, and Alaska Airlines. During the 1983-84 year, the Chamber worked with United Way of King County to guide the inauguration of Leadership Tomorrow, a community organization that cultivates a network of leaders to address our region's toughest challenges. Leadership Tomorrow has grown from 48 students in its inaugural class to an alumni network of more than 1,500 community leaders. Leading the Chamber's work is Rachel Smith, who helps local leaders understand community needs and encourages officials to make evidence-based decisions on regional priorities. She has played a pivotal role in delivering government investments that generate economic benefits and enhance the quality of life in our area. Rachel has spent more than 20 years leading government policy, operations, and advocacy, including 13 years serving in local and regional government. Hourglass sat down with Rachel late last year to discuss the function of the Chamber and how it addresses concerns central to United Way's work, particularly housing and food insecurity. Here's what Rachel had to say.
We're about 2,500 employers, and about 80% of those are small businesses, meaning 100 employees or less. And then 20%, of course, are some of the largest companies in the world, like Microsoft, Amazon, and Starbucks, Boeing, and others. And about 60% of our membership is inside the city of Seattle, and about 40% is outside the city of Seattle. So we truly are a metro chamber, a regional chamber, and we take that to heart in all of the work that we're doing. And I will just say this, and I say it often, we have the best business community in the entire world. This group of folks, both the leadership at the Chamber in terms of our board, but also just business leaders across the region, large and small, are collaborative, they are innovative, they have civic pride, and we have this culture of sort of innovation and of giving back. And that is just a through line to all of our membership. So while it may seem like a staggering number to manage, it is actually a delight to be able to interact with all of our members. We just had a member appreciation event last night, had about 150 folks there. And it truly is a wonderful job for me to be able to work alongside so many amazing employers.
I think maybe when most people think about the chamber, they think city limits. Can you just talk about just what goes beyond the city of Seattle?
Absolutely. And that's why we insist on being the Seattle Metro Chamber whenever we're talking with folks. But yeah, so about 40% of our businesses are outside of the city of Seattle. And we really think about our work in the King, Pierce, and Snohomish County areas. And so, we work closely with businesses and elected officials in Tacoma and in Everett and sort of everything in between. And we do our work that way. People don't live their lives by city and county boundaries. They live in Seattle and work in Redmond. They live in Federal Way and go to school at the University of Washington, Tacoma. They live in Montlake Terrace and work in Everett. And so we as a chamber really feel like we need to reflect that. And the other thing is we really are one giant economy. And we feel that as the chamber, we want to reflect that as well. So we don't do our work by city and county boundaries in the same way that both our members and the residents here don't live their lives by city and county boundaries.
Growing up, I always, in South Carolina, always heard about this Chamber of Commerce, that Chamber of Commerce. I would dare say a lot of people might not know what a Chamber of Commerce does.
Yes, and we certainly are one of those institutions. So the Seattle Metro Chamber is 142 years old, which is, I feel, a real responsibility to both steward that history and also to be a modern chamber, one that can serve the needs of our very diverse employer community. And, our work kind of falls into three lanes, if you will. The first is advocacy, so really being an advocate on behalf of the employer community, both for traditional sort of business issues like the regulatory environment and taxes and things like that, but really also for quality of life issues. That is what allows us to attract and maintain employees. That is what drives a business to want to come here, stay here, or grow here. So the issues that everybody cares about, like public safety, like affordable housing, like addressing homelessness, those are also priorities of the employer community. So we advocate not just on sort of traditional business things, but really on all of those quality of life issues. The second is economic development. And here at our chamber, we really take kind of a specific slice of that, which is business retention and expansion of small and BIPOC-owned businesses around King County. So that is kind of a very specific, the economic development ecosystem is large, and that is our role in it. And we work with a lot of partners as well. And then the third lane is just being a great membership organization. That's who we are at the end of the day. And we center our members in everything that we do. We, really work to put on good and relevant programming, both for business leaders, but also for their employees, to gain skills, to learn about current events, and to network with each other. We try to feature our members on the stage, so to speak, at our events so that they can talk about the good work that they're doing. And we try to celebrate them in every way that we can, whether it's a big milestone that they just hit or, an award that they won or something like that. We celebrate that through all of our chamber channels. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell. And of course, because we are a civic, sort of a civic institution, it's also whatever's going on that day and other duties as assigned as well.
Now, I remember when I moved here in 2015, I was pretty struck by the amount of development going on here. Mm-hmm. And then I read that at the time, somewhere around 2015 to 2018, that Seattle was second only to Dubai in the number of cranes in the city. And that's how much construction that it had. Can you just talk about what goes with that? From the pluses to the minuses to maybe everything in between.
Absolutely. And, while I don't know those exact numbers, that sounds absolutely right. And we have experienced really for the last 10 years, a a pretty remarkable kind of boom, if you will, here in Seattle, but really in the entire region. And as you say, that has a lot of impacts and consequences, some of those really fantastic. So one, we have more people living in downtown Seattle than we ever have before, because many of those cranes were for apartments and condos and things of that nature. So that helps add to our vibrancy downtown and creates housing for people who need it downtown. We also see that kind of development really put investment back into our government in the form of taxes and things like that. You know, they pay property taxes and construction taxes and all of those kinds of things. So helps buoy our government coffers, which of course then go to pay for important services. And that kind of activity just generates a lot of other economic activity. When you have, you know, more buildings with more people in them, you can have more ground floor retail. You know, you can have, you know, your favorite mom and pop shops, places to get your hair cut, great restaurants to grab lunch, places to take your dog and to take your kids for daycare and all of those kinds of things. So, you know, there's a lot of positive a lot of positive that comes out of that kind of development. And, you know, we here at the Chamber, one of our sort of mottos on these things is prosperity is a good thing, but it's very important that we make sure everybody has access to it. And so that's really how we think about in these boom times, how do we make sure that people aren't being left behind, that they're not being left out of that economic activity, and that they're able to participate in it. And we do that in a lot of ways as well. So certainly we support government efforts to help lift up our community. We supported the affordable housing levy that passed by the voters in Seattle last year, and the crisis care response that King County put on the ballot last year. Two really important both funding and policy pieces to help lift people up in our community. You know, we take a very strong pro-housing policy position here. So we work with partners down in Olympia and you know, region-wide and in cities to try to push for policies that allow, you know, more housing types in more places for more people at more income levels to be built. Because I think at the end of the day, we know housing is usually the biggest cost in any family. And if we can get that cost down and get them a safe and comfortable place to be with their family, a lot of other good things flow from that.
Hourglass spoke with Rachel last year following the 2024 Summer Olympic Games in Paris, an event that sold a record 9.5 million tickets. The Seattle area is looking for a sporting event windfall next year, as it is among several U.S. cities slated to host the FIFA World Cup, which will also be held in Mexico and Canada. Seattle is slated to host 6 matches, all at Lumen Field, and the event will mark one of the biggest sporting events the area has seen since the 2023 Major League Baseball All-Star Game at T-Mobile Park. And though baseball officials stated that the 2023 All-Star Game would be an inclusive affair, many small business owners in the neighboring Chinatown International District said that their neighborhood scarcely benefited from the revenue generated by the multi-day event. Rachel said that she and the Chamber are working to ensure that next year's World Cup will indeed be an inclusive event.
Absolutely. And that's something that has been top of mind for us, and not something that we can or want to do alone, but that we are going to do in partnership with many, many others. So we have actually started working on more of a formal partnership with, you know, our government partners and the FIFA partners, other chambers around both the region and really the state, to provide tools and resources to businesses to take advantage of the opportunity to stay resilient through the challenges, because obviously, you know, with great events like this, there's also, you know, some of the tough stuff you've got to work through, and to really use it as a growth opportunity for them. So while we're still kind of developing what that's going to look like, think about things like a toolkit for a business, to have connection into some of the marketing things that are happening, what to expect, in terms of like, here's your checklist for what to expect from the World Cup, what kinds of economic activity is going to be happening to see if you fit into that, or if you could pivot to take advantage of it, maybe temporarily. So we're going to really focus on tools in the toolbox for those businesses. And of course, FIFA has a lot of their own relationships in terms of sponsorships and marketing and things like that, which we will support their work there too.
Now, of course, you are a member of the United Way of King County's board.
A proud one.
Yes. And two of our main focuses of work are food and housing insecurity. You don't need to live in this city or live in this area very long to figure out that homelessness and housing and rental assistance, all of those are very hot button topics in the city and really in this area, if not the country, to be quite honest. How does the chamber convey its messages as that seems to be very fluid? That topic seems to be very fluid.
Yeah, I think, we do that in a number of ways. I mean, one, we as I sit on the board, but also just we as an organization partner with United Way. We stay coordinated on policy activities that are happening or work that government is doing. We work in coalition a fair amount. So that is definitely one of the ways. We also have our own members who participate in volunteering, making financial contributions to these kinds of efforts, both at the company level, but also at the individual employee level. One of the great things about having a good job is that it allows you to provide for your family. It allows you to pay your taxes, but it also allows you to give back to your community. And again, as I said at the outset, we have that value here very strongly in this region. We advocate for policies and for funding that support what you mentioned, food insecurity, housing and rental assistance. And we really, again, work in coalition with United Way, yes, but with a lot of maybe partners you might not expect. So, like I said, we go down to Olympia. Last year, we had an effort with some of our partners in labor and some of our partners in the environmental community, as well as partners in the housing community, to pass a bill that would allow for upzoning in a lot of areas that would allow for more housing to be built. You maybe don't always think that you're going to see FutureWise and SEIU 1199 and the Seattle Metro Chamber holding hands on something, but we absolutely did here. So we do that coalition work because we know, and we know this from research that we do, both public opinion research and research within the business community, that these quality of life issues, affordability, public safety, and homelessness are the top 3 issues for voters, but also for the employers.
Now, tell me a little bit about your background. How you got involved in this work?
Yes, it's not a straight line. I'll say that. So I actually graduated from college with a degree in wildlife biology, which might surprise people. But from there, I worked in nonprofits just a little bit, but sort of quickly moved into government, which is where I've spent most of my career, spent nearly 15 years working in government. I started working for a mayor many mayors ago, Greg Nichols, when he was the mayor of Seattle, great mayor. From there, I worked at Sound Transit, which is our regional transit authority, under the tutelage of the amazing and incomparable Joni Earl when she was there. And then moved over to work for King County Executive Dow Constantine, who is an amazing mentor of mine. And I worked a number of different roles in his office, ending with being the Deputy County Executive and Chief of Staff for the county. Dow is a terrific leader, a partner now to me now in the at the chamber and in the business community, and just an amazing government executive. And I'm really feel blessed to have had the opportunity to work with him, for him, and alongside him. So most of my time was in government, and the sort of move to the chamber, I think the board in hiring me was reflecting a real desire to have public-private partnership, having somebody who understands government, understands the ins and outs and the details, and also though knows how to work with the business community. Because one of the things that was true about me in all of these roles is I always worked really closely with the business community. In fact, when I went to my interview at the chamber, I kind of walked in the room and was like, "Hi, everybody," because I knew so many of the faces, which was a good thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Just a couple more questions. I'm sure that you've traveled and you've met people from other chambers.
Mm-hmm.
What do they say about Seattle?
That's a good question. I think it depends a little bit. So the Seattle Metro Chamber is actually not a part of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. That is something that this organization made a very conscious decision to step back from some years ago, prior to my arrival here at the chamber. And that was an intentional one because sometimes the values really didn't align there. And so we are not a part of the U.S. Chamber, although occasionally we find items that we agree on and want to work on together. I think in many parts of the country, we are seen as an extremely progressive chamber, and that is a reflection of our community because our employer community is also progressive. I think people know very clearly what our values are, and they see those because, again, they reflect the values of our community and our employer community. So I think maybe what people don't always know, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, is actually how diverse our chamber is, and both geographically, type and size of business. And that's something that, if you want to come to a chamber event, you'll be able to see very clearly the diversity of our employer community.
And that segues to the last question. If I'm listening to this and I want to get involved with the Seattle Chamber, how do I do that?
Great question. So one, go to our website. You can find contact information. You can actually even just join as a member on our website if you want to do that. We have great member benefits. So when you join the chamber as a member, there's lots of good stuff that you can do. Or if you're not sure yet, come to one of our events. We do a lot of great events. There's a little something for everybody. I mentioned we have, things where you can learn new skills, where you can catch up on current events, where you can just network with others. We have things for young professionals as well. So join as a member, call and let us know if you have a question or an issue, or come to one of our events and see for yourself.
Rachel Smith, Seattle Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
To learn more about the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, log on to seattlechamber.com. It's tax time again, and United Way of King County is offering free tax services to individuals who make less than $80,000 a year, or less than $96,000 for non-single filers. Funded by United Way, the IRS, and the City of Seattle, the free tax preparation campaign runs until Sunday, April 19th. Services are available at more than a dozen locations across King County, including El Centro de la Raza and West Seattle Community Resource Center in Seattle, Hope Link in Shoreline, South Center Mall in Tukwila, and the Public Health Center in Kent. Virtual service is also available through our online tax site. United Way tax preparation specialists will help clients understand their tax situations and take advantage of refunds like the Earned Income Credit, the Child Tax Credit, and the Working Families Tax Credit. Last year, our free tax campaign served more than 12,000 people and leveraged more than $16 million in tax refunds. And we look forward to preparing your taxes this year. For more information, log on to freetaxexperts.org. Interested in a volunteer opportunity? Sound Generations is seeking volunteers to join its Meals on Wheels program. Located in Seattle, Sound Generations promotes the social, emotional, and physical well-being of older adults through a network of community connections and services. Sound Generations Meals on Wheels program provides well-balanced, nutritious, ready-to-eat meals each week, with home delivery and specialized options like vegetarian and kosher meals. As a Meals on Wheels volunteer, you'll be part of a team that delivers meals to homebound seniors. Sound Generations is looking for drivers and meat packers to support deliveries in SeaTac. For more information, log on to soundgenerations.org. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.